A mindset shift is occurring in corporate America that has companies pivoting their focus toward being socially responsible. Corporate social responsibility is the idea that businesses have a responsibility to the greater society, environmentally, ethically, philanthropically, and economically. Actions range from embracing sustainable business practices to implementing measures that reduce inequality and are attributable to a growing consumer expectation that companies take stands on social issues and a desire to support brands they align with.
An opportunity we're predicting for 2022 is an increased emphasis on local. Master plan communities have the advantage here since they can provide residents everything they need within minutes. Our survey results show that the top reason promoters value master plans is because of their proximity to what they need, benefiting convenience, creating social good through support for small businesses, and enhancing health and sustainability. For example, take Arden, an agri-hood in Florida that provides residents a share of crops every harvest season and sells surplus crops in a general store adjacent to their local farm.
Hi, Jeff Brazel here. Hot trend in multifamily amenities is activation. Think about creating small-scale areas where residents can interact with social activities and use that tenant portal that everyone has on their phone to curate those activities specific to your demographics. This is the best way to build resident loyalty. I was just out in Las Vegas and witnessed the gathering of a dog walking group. I'm told there's 4 of these on property each week. And in Austin, I recently saw residents setting up for multiple football viewing parties on the rooftop deck. And in an early morning visit to a project in Phoenix, I had to tiptoe through 2 yoga groups stretched out on the turfed areas near the clubhouse.
Okay, so the 3 societal trends are: first, Megan from our New Home Trends Institute up in New York is telling us that consumers are going to spend on environmentally, ethically, philanthropically, and economically responsible brands. So be sure you're doing that. Anya from our Design Lens team, place emphasis on supporting your local businesses. That is resonating. This will help you sell or lease up faster. And then third, Jeff Brazel, who does a lot of our master plan work, is noting that integrated tech tools that bring like-minded individuals together are the real thing you need to be focused on. So now let's move over to migration trends.
Here's a trend with important implications for the housing market. It's the top and 5 bottom states for population growth last year. Not surprising are the states at the top or the bottom, but what might be surprising is that population growth and loss is all about domestic net migration, or people moving from one state to another. It's the blue on the chart. And yes, this pattern does predate the pandemic. However, it does seem to be intensifying in both directions. That means the population gainers are growing more and the population losers are losing more. Thanks for watching.
The ability to work from home is allowing many of us to untether where we live from where we work. Buyers and renters are increasingly able to choose where they want to live as opposed to where they have to live. For many in Southern California, this means moving farther inland in search of value. For others, this means relocating full-time or part-time to vacation destinations like Palm Springs or even Hawaii, where I am right now. Aloha.
Facing another full year of online school, we took some extreme measures and moved to New Zealand. After living 2 weeks in an isolation hotel, we were free. We lived with no COVID, no restrictions, and more importantly, we put our kids in little suits and they got out of the house, back to school, and we got back to work without interruption. I had been remote with JBREC for about 5 years, so interacting with my team has not changed. What has changed is not being able to visit sites, which is frustrating, but we're fortunate to have a network of employees all across the country that can lead virtual tours. We hope to be back in the US soon, but for now, New Zealand is a pretty nice place to ride out the pandemic.
Build for rent was a hot topic in 2021. We saw record volume in Dallas-Fort Worth, the broader Texas markets, as well as nationally. We believe this trend will continue into 2022 as mortgage rates begin to rise, affordability worsens, and renter households continue to seek additional living space. We also believe investors will continue to view the asset class as a hedge against inflationary pressures.
It is expected for more companies to announce permanent work-from-home models in 2022. Bigger tech companies have already announced work-from-home and hybrid options. I live in Seattle, and 80s-born employees with young growing families are moving to larger, newer homes outside of the city. Smart home features and home office spaces are the key to attracting these buyers.
I relocated to the UK early in the pandemic due to my daughter's health conditions. But I've continued to work with JBREC. Now, during the past 15 months, there have been some challenges, but we've learned to use the time difference to our advantage. For example, I can now perform important updates and maintenance to our online portal and only take it offline during the times that our clients aren't logged in.
We expect to see a continued increase of buyers and renters moving from out of state seeking affordability. As Omicron and COVID's various variants are extending work from home policies in early 2022, we've been having some companies implement permanent work from home policies. Employees are free to move to more affordable areas or to move near family and friends. This is a trend we've been seeing since COVID started, and we expect it to continue into early 2022.
Okay, so the 5 migration trends are: expect more migration winners and losers per Eric in our Boulder office. The migration winners pre-COVID have been winning even more, and the losers have been losing even more. Scott, all the way from Hawaii, and Annie, all the way from New Zealand, are showing us how relocators are seeking value and can make it work from literally anywhere in the world, or any island in the world, I should say. Brian from our Dallas team pointed out that continued consumer and investor, both single family rental demand, are going to be strong, is what we see happening. Christy from our Seattle office, where this is playing out probably most significantly, is where people are getting permission to work from home, particularly those born in the 1980s who are all going to be entering their 40s sometime over the next decade and college educated. And then lastly, renters, not just homeowners, but renters are relocating for affordability, according to Reed, or maybe even for health reasons all the way to England, according to Rob. Next, let's go to tech trends.
I recently saw this great concept, which leads the way in developing and operating apartment communities. Avalon Bay's Kanzo Trinbrook in Rockville, Maryland, aims to provide a residential experience that's largely automated with few physical amenities and no full-time staff on site. Lease administration and customer service is virtual, and tours are self-guided. The model is a retail-style mock-up with all the elements of an apartment unit. As you can see, there's a lot of innovation with this new community.
Smart home technology has been an emerging trend in the housing industry, and it's becoming a more widely desired feature for both renters and buyers. In 2022 and the coming years, I see certain smart home technology features becoming a standard for new housing product. Through countless community tours of Class A apartments, BFR, and for sale communities, I've seen smart locks, video doorbells, and smart thermostats provide the best ROI, and I believe these are a must for new housing product in 2022.
One trend that we're noticing, and we'll see much more in 2022, is the notion of the invisible kitchen. Expect to see streamlined design and high-end integrated facades. Consumers are looking for simplicity within their home. So this means having technology in the background and panel-ready appliances such as refrigerators and dishwashers that seamlessly blend into cabinetry. Instead of that shiny new gadget that we want to show off to friends and family, we want our appliances to work discreetly in the background without major distraction.
Okay, to summarize the technology trends: provide virtual customer service. Jeff Kottmeyer in our DC office is seeing that in apartments, which are often the leaders in consumer trends, identifying consumer trends for the home. Secondly, the smart home should focus on security and savings. That's where your smart home focus should be. And I call it very practical tech. And James is seeing this, and James has been our frequent flyer during all of this, so he's seen it a lot. And then next would be the more hidden technology. Get rid of those LED lights in the kitchen. Allie, who lives in Boise and just joined us from one of the major production architecture firms, is definitely seeing that on the architect drawing boards. Let's move over to building cost trends.
A trend to watch in 2022 is the continued strength in big project remodeling activity. These types of projects tend to not be confined to just one period, so watch for the strength we saw in 2021 big project remodels to echo into 2022.
Building product companies should take note, as we expect single-family construction material revenue to significantly outpace starts in 2022. We're forecasting single-family starts to increase 10% this year, but believe material demand will increase an additional 11% due to 2021 timing delays and see another 5% boost from higher prices. This will lead to more wild price swings and worsening product shortages, but companies that are well prepared and have the available products are set to outperform and take significant market share this year.
Okay, to summarize the building cost trends, for those of you that are selling building materials, this is going to be good news. And for those of you that are buying building materials, this is not. Increased big project remodeling demand is set to make materials even more expensive, as Matt from our Chicago office, who joined us from Fortune Brands a few years ago, is seeing. And then on the new home side, the other Matt, who just relocated from California to Texas, is seeing huge shift in market share caused by greater than expected new home material demand, and greater than expected demand will mean that there'll be more room to raise costs. Let's move over to affordability solutions.
We see a growing opportunity to build infill townhomes to attract young professionals and first-time homebuyers. I was a first-time homebuyer in 2021, searching for a single-family detached home. After continuously being outbid by all-cash offers made by investors, I decided I cared more about the location than I did about having a detached home. After a year-long search, I found a townhome that met my needs and my budget, offering a yard for my dog, ample parking for my guests, and amenities I cared about, like a pool and gym. The best part is all located near retail and nightlife.
Denver is becoming a more unaffordable market. As affordability issues continue, builders and developers are exploring new ways to promote attainable pricing. One new apartment project coming to downtown Denver will allocate some of its units to co-living spaces. The rest of the apartments will be market quality, but they will be marketed at more affordable price points.
With the passing of HB 82, now requires municipalities to classify an accessory dwelling unit as their permitted land use and limits their restrictions, I expect to see more ADUs. Not a dramatic increase, but notable numbers. In addition, we will see more thoughtful design, as COVID has played a big role in how we work from home, how our family remains in the home, and how we struggle with affordability. The ADU simply makes sense.
Okay, to summarize the affordability solutions here, we've got three. And Kaylin from our Florida team did this personally. And she's suggesting you do the same. Go for infill townhomes where there is less competition, which was the whole suburban trend we identified in our book 5 years ago. Stephanie on our Denver office is seeing a lot of co-living activity, not just separate co-living buildings, but co-living intermixed in an apartment development. And then Kristen, who had a great background there at Salt Lake with the horses, which, by the way, is showing you how far out we are doing feasibility work these days, says to expect more accessory dwelling units for a rental income. That's a great affordability solution, both for the homeowner that owns the ADU and the person who might be renting that ADU. And then finally, going to our last trend would be land development.
One trend to watch for 2022 is the growth of build-for-rent projects within emerging submarkets. Rental and multifamily housing has historically followed retail development. While build-for-rent products still need reasonable access to services and amenities, the appeal is the home itself and the additional space it affords. Accordingly, we are seeing build-for-rent projects being developed in the earlier phases of a neighborhood's life cycle than we typically see with traditional multifamily offerings. Notably, many of the projects in emerging submarkets are absorbing at rates comparable to more established submarkets.
As a response to worsening affordability, my hometown of Portland, Oregon is increasing density for new infill housing. Zoning now allows for multifamily product in neighborhoods traditionally zoned for single family. We may see other cities change their zoning laws as they respond to their own affordability crises. Builders will need to match these changes with creative and efficient home design.
As the build-for-rent housing sector expands to new markets across the country this year, developers need to be prepared to navigate through local municipalities who may be uninformed and or unreceptive to the build-for-rent concept. Educating local officials should be highly visual to combat any negative connotations of the community of rental homes. This includes helping municipalities understand the typical demographic profile of these tenants, which generally includes higher income households with profiles similar to existing homeowners.
I'm expecting to hear more about the ties between ESG and master plan community development in 2022. ESG stands for environmental, social, governance, and master plan community development involves all three of these concepts: clear environmental impacts, major social implications related to housing, as well as the importance of governance, either in HOA management or rental operations.
Santa Rita Ranch is a master plan community located in Liberty Hill, Texas, roughly 45 minutes north of downtown Austin. It's also among the top 50 selling master plan communities and has been for the past 3 years. The reason? It offers homebuyers everything they could want without having to leave the area. As prices continue to increase and push people out of city centers, land developers and home builders can capitalize on cheaper and less competitive land outside of major markets and draw buyers with a highly amenitized living experience.
The migration of people from urban areas into more suburban and ex-urban areas has been happening all over the country, nowhere more so than here in Northern California where I'm based. I'm thinking maybe then in the near term we'll see more of those retail and entertainment venues follow those folks out to the suburbs and exurbs and create those walkable spaces and those suburban environments that are so popular for people. Also, one other trend I've noticed is that white slacks after Labor Day, perfectly fine. Don't even. I'm hearing that I should stick to housing trends, not to fashion trends. But you know what? I stand by it.
Okay, to summarize the land development trends, there are 6 of them here. So Barry in our Phoenix office, which is where all this build for rent got started, is seeing essentially land values on large communities go up because you can perform a more land sale income earlier in the land development, thanks to being able to sell some build for rent parcels. Secondly, prepare for high density zoning. Matt in Oregon, which is famous for their urban growth boundaries, has really seen the YIMBY movement there, where the cities are saying even more than they were before, we want to see more homes per acre. Dustin in our Houston office, which is ironic that Dustin did this because Houston is famous for having really no zoning. That's where we're seeing in Texas, we're seeing the need to educate city officials on the build for rent quality maintenance that you're going to maintain the communities and the high income tenant profiles to get through the approvals in Texas. Krista Rosiak pointed out that the master plan should focus on environmental, social, and governance initiatives. Governance could be HOA. And I just got a great insight look at 5 Point, one of the largest land developers in the country, is going to be releasing an ESG report in the next few weeks here. It's absolutely amazing. And master plans all over the country can learn a lot from that. So there's an opportunity for you as well. Next, the communities on the outskirts used to be all about keeping the amenities down so you can keep the cost down. But because so many affluent people are moving to the outskirts now, especially in Austin, where Chad is from, highly amenitized amenities in the master plans is what we're seeing. And then last but never least, Dean, our podcast host from Northern California, talked about providing walkability in those suburbs and exurbs. So that's what people are looking for, is that they may have to commute hybrid to work 2 days a week, but when I'm home, I just want to walk. With that, that's all the opportunities, and that's our webinar for this week, everyone. We'll see you next month, always the third Thursday at 1 o'clock Pacific time. Thank you.